good measure. Oh. I'm going to start off this review of the Glock 45 with the Aimpoint COA by making a personal attack to my fellow police officers and saying, this gun here is dummy proof. And why do I say it's dummy proof? Well, because cops themselves, like I said, I'll be honest here, can be a little bit on the lazy side. They don't want to do the research. They don't want to put the time in. The agency doesn't want to pay for it. You know, just list off a whole bunch of nonsense that I see civilians taking more effort into. And you'll see why. Most of the times they don't shoot higher end pistols. Most of the times they don't want red dots. Most of the times they just don't want to go the extra mile to give themselves a better duty weapon. But this here is the Glock 45 with Aimpoint COA collaboration between Aimpoint and Glock. I decided to review this. As you guys know, if you've been here at the channel for a while, or if you haven't, we've reviewed a lot of Shadow Systems pistols. I've been called a Shadow Systems shill and a fanboy and all that because I generally think the standard Glock is not really worth as much as, like, let's say a Foundation Series Shadow Systems. I happen to like those more because they give you a few extra things. But what I'll tell you more so with this is that this setup, as you see it here, is really, really hard to beat for today's modern day police officer in an agency that wants to stick with a Glock brand pistol. Out of the box, this thing is ready to go. Now you'll see on my pistol as I have it set up here, I do have the Streamlight TLR1 HLX. I happen to actually really like the Streamlight TLR1 lights. They've worked out well for me in the past. I used them on duty. I think they're a really good overall light. Price-wise, they're not all that expensive, and cops themselves, they're cheap. Now, if you're looking for EDC, because obviously you could EDC this, or you could get the 43 or 43X, whatever it might be, and have the Aimpoint COA on there as well, because they offer that, you can get these. As this sits here, without the light on it, the pistol itself was sub $1,000. So you can get a Gen 5 Glock 45, you can get a 47, you can get a 19, you can get a 48, you can get a 43X, and you can get the COA on there, and chances are you're gonna find that street price out there for less than $1,000. That's something that, generally speaking, to get a Aimpoint Acro P2 and a Glock Gen 5 to get a plate that doesn't suck, because we all know the MOS system sucks on Glocks, you're over, probably $1,200 or more. You're probably looking closer to 13 or 14, and that's a lot of times why I constantly will tell people, if you're gonna buy a Glock type pistol, and you can, carry the Shadow Systems. Now this pistol, as it sits here, like I said, this is cop dummy proof, as I'd like to say again. The 45, it comes out of the box, ready to go with the Aimpoint COA mounted. It comes with backup iron sights that are blacked out completely, which is how I prefer if you're going to shoot a red dot. The COA itself uses the A-cut that is specific to the Glock pistol, meaning you can't put this COA on anything else unless somebody was to come out with like an adapter plate for a different branded pistol. Now the COA itself has a 50,000 hour battery life. It does have good tactile controls for the brightness settings on the left side of it. So for myself as a right-handed shooter, I'm actually able to keep my dominant hand, or let's say, firing hand on the pistol, come up, push those buttons and adjust brightness without ever actually breaking my dominant or master grip, which is really nice to do. And it's very tactile. They have like a good click in them. Outside of that, you do have good clicks for your windage and your elevation. It uses a T10 Torx, left and right, and then in addition to that, your battery compartment tray, which is sealed and uses a T10 Torx, has that on there as well. So with this battery tray, I had to actually add the battery to it once I bought the pistol. Adding the battery to it was a little bit interesting, but in a good way. What I'll tell you is I took the screw out, and immediately when I took the screw out, the battery door didn't just pop off and fling across the room. If you ever use a Holosun, most of them do that. You have to be very careful that once you take that screw out, you start loosening it, it doesn't pop out. This does not do that. In fact, when you take the screw out, it's still stuck basically inside the pistol, and they give you like a little pry tool for it, and there's a little like notch in here, and you pop it out. It slides out. It's a polymer tray that does have a sealed O-ring because this thing is submersible up to, I believe it was like 83 meters or 83 feet or 25 meters. So you're able to actually submerge it if you want to. So obviously it's waterproof, fogproof, and shockproof being on a pistol. Like I said, it uses a 2032 battery, so standard battery size on there, and good stuff there. Now we'll cover the Glock 45 real quick. If you guys don't know about the Glock 45, ultimately what it is a full-size grip length with a shorter dust cover like a Glock 19, so it takes 17 round capacity. The Gen 5 has ambi controls as far as for the slide stop slide release lever. And then it does have, let's say, a little bit better slide serrations. Now, Glock finishes themselves are probably some of the most resistive ones out there, meaning they just hold up to abuse better than some of the other companies. I mean, that's probably why you'll see such long service lives for Glock pistols for police officers. Now, carry-wise, I've carried a Glock 48 for a while. I've carried 19s. You know, now I carry a lot of shadow system stuff, but this is a great pistol. And, you know, the slide serrations, yeah, I wish they were deeper, but they are usable. I wish the grip textures were a little bit better, but they are usable, and it does work. Now, myself, like this pistol, is essentially brand new. I haven't shot it yet, but I'll end up taking this grip, I'll sand all this nonsense down, and I'll actually end up stippling the whole thing myself. When I had a Glock 34 and a 35 in the past, I stippled it myself. It's very easy for me to do. And then it does have a slight flared magwell here on the Gen 5. It ain't great, you know, but it's very usable, and it's better than nothing. I'll tell you that it's better than like what you find on the Echelon pistols. It's better than what you find on a standard SIG 320. So it does work. You do get 3 magazines with this pistol. So it comes set up out of the box with 3 Glock mags. Obviously these are cheap, and most people have some Glock mags lying around. So these are the 17 round Glock mags, the Gen 5 ones, orange follower and all that stuff. No issues, they lock. Magazine release, not hard to hit. It's pretty standard stuff for the Glock. It is serrated a little bit, sticks out. It's not bad. I don't have to break my grip too much or to hit that button, and I find it fairly easy. Now on the bottom of these, they're slightly undercut. Now what I'll tell you is for myself, a lot of times I'll take a Dremel to it and I'll actually shave that down and knock it down more, and it allows me to actually get my hand, or my, like, let's say middle finger up on my dominant hand a little higher for a higher grip and get a better grip on the pistol. I do usually get slide bite with standard Glock pistols, so I expect to get that today. I don't knock Glocks for that because not everybody gets it, but I do. So usually for me, I don't really like the extended beaver tail grip on here just because I don't like how much it adds to the backside. I like it up here because it saves me from getting slide bite, but overall it's fine. I mean, it'll, you know, like I said, my hands will probably bleed today. Ain't a big deal, I ain't gonna die. Outside of that though, you know, the trigger, we actually tested it with our trigger pull gauge, and it's really darn nice. I'll say, like, weight wise, it's a good overall duty weight, especially for a police officer. Legally and, you know, otherwise, I think it's good. Let's say you can certainly feel the shoe in there, which I don't like. You can feel that in the middle of the Glock trigger, but it's pretty smooth for the most part. You know, it's pretty standard Glock, so you have a light takeout, some mush, and then a wall, and then a fairly short and audible reset. So we'll actually check it here on a trigger pull gauge and see what we get exactly. Put it down here at the bottom and we'll pull. I got 3.3 on that one. Try it again. It's usually about 4, so it all kind of matters where you put it at on the shoe and pull it straight to the rear. So 4.4 is what I'm getting there. Like I said, that's what I was getting before the video. We'll do it one more time. So 315.8, so about 4 pounds. So we'll say that this thing breaks, I would say, somewhere between 4 and 4.5 pounds, which is a good overall weight. No issues there. You know, like the trigger here, I might change it for the Glock Performance trigger, but the overall weight and all that stuff is good for most police officers. So I've talked a lot about this as a duty gun and how it feels and all that stuff. It fits in your standard, you know, holsters. This is a US duty gear holster with a red dot opening on there. Essentially, I don't have it closed, but this being an enclosed dot is really where it's a benefit versus your standard like RMR, which has become, like, let's say, the modern day standard for a duty red dot. But with this thing here, enclosed, you don't have to worry about it whatsoever. And then when you're co-witnessing the pistol sights, it's very low. So now for some folks, they might wish they had a little bit more of a co-witness. Some people may even wish that they had, let's say, a white dot or some kind of reference point. But again, remaining target focused and using your red dot, you don't need it. I'd say it's like about just over 1/8 of an inch, you know, co-witness. So it's not like a full quarter or anything like that. It's not like a half, like suppressor height. It's actually just right, in my opinion. I think it works really well. And it's, like I said, it's perfect because it doesn't obscure the window. Now the glass on the Aimpoint COA is really darn good. I don't see any fisheye, I don't see any distortion as I go around to different objects, smaller, whatever they might be, and the dot itself is very crisp. It's really, really nice. I don't like the Acro P2, I'll be upfront and honest. If I was gonna tell you between the Acro P2 and the Steiner MPS, MPS all day. If I was gonna tell you between this and an MPS, I'm gonna tell you this all day, especially for the Glock. So like I said, guys, this is basically a dummy-proof, ready to go, out of the box duty pistol for the modern day police officer. And I'm gonna test it like that today. We're gonna drop it a little bit, I'm gonna throw it a little bit, I'll submerge it in the water down by our creek, and we'll ultimately see how this thing ends up performing. You know, it's not broken or anything like that, it seems to be, it's brand new. We bought this with our own money. And you know, I'll address the elephant in the room right out of the gate. I will tell you because like I said, we're an honest channel and our motto is make gun reviews honest again. I love Shadow Systems pistols, there's no doubt about that. But for the average police officer who does not take the time nor the effort to really sort out, or the agency to sort out what the best setup is for the modern day police officer, and they want something out of the box, you can't beat this. Price-wise, for less than $1,000 I picked it up. There's obviously blue label programs. I think it's impossible to beat. It has a proven track record. Agencies trust Glock. You know, you're seeing people go away from SIGs because some of the stuff that's come out in the media and lawsuits that they've had. And out of the box, this is really, really hard to beat. And in fact, like I said, this would probably be my personal recommendation for an agency who wants to use Glock and have a duty pistol set up with a red dot. I just don't know that you can beat it. And like I said, that's being upfront and honest. And yeah, I would recommend it over like the Foundation Series Shadow Systems for most police officers, just because of how well this is set up. Like, it's just easy to do. Like I said, it's dummy proof. And that's the biggest thing I can tell you. Cops are lazy, they don't clean their guns, they don't take care of their shit, they don't train enough. Out of the box, it's really hard to beat this. And that's why I say it's a dummy proof option for the most modern day police officer. And if you take offense to that, I'm sorry that you're a baby and you're a police officer and people call you mean names, but I've been called all those names. Don't take offense to that. Just take that for what it's worth and listen to me there, because I'm telling you, this is a really cool setup. So let's get on the range. We'll shoot this. We'll see how the gun performs. I'm sure it's going to be fine. We'll see how the red dot performs. I'll rack it off a barricade a little bit, or rack it off my belt. We'll test that. I'll drop it and I'll throw it in the water. And then we'll give you guys our final thoughts on how this thing holds up and how the whole setup performs. We're on the range. I'm at 7 yards. I'm going to confirm my dot and see how it's on. I've heard a lot of stuff about how the COA on the Glock pistols is already basically 0 to really close. So we're going to check that. And then after that, I'm going to start putting a little bit of abuse. I'll shoot the Aimpoint COA with it real quick. And we'll just ultimately see how this pistol performs. You know, it's a Glock. I mean, the 45 is not a whole lot different than the rest of the ones you're used to, per se. If you don't know how Glocks feel, you're really new to guns for the most part. You know, they're very rudimentary, but they obviously work. That's what their reputation has been for a very long time. So let's check out our 0. So the first thing I like to do is when I'm actually checking a red dot and trying to like get brightness and all that stuff, I'll check the environment. If I get to choose how I want the brightness, and then I'll adjust it. Right now it seems pretty good, but easily adjustable. So it's just right. Right now I'd say brightness settings on like a 6. Today it's overcast in Ohio. So let's get our first shots. We'll walk up on the target and look. Overall pretty good, a little bit low left, which is probably me. So overall it's not too bad. We'll walk back a little bit more, about 10 yards, and I'll confirm it again. We're gonna shoot the white circle, bottom right. So slide bite has already occurred. I expected that to happen. Dot seems like it's pretty on. I'm not going to change it right now. I can of course bag the pistol and actually determine what that needs to be. So first few rounds through the gun, we'll make it empty and show it clear. It's clear. All right, let's give this thing a little test. And then we'll go back and check our 0 again. So obviously beat it on there pretty good. It looks like shit on top, but no issues, cracked glass or anything crazy like that. So take another mag here. We'll check our 0, see if we had any shift. No shift whatsoever. Seems good. No issues there. That's good to see. All right. Empty pistol. Better go get it. Let me run over and grab a pistol. All right. All right. All right. So as you can see, I obviously yeeted it come on here, take a look at it with me. See, we'll get that mud off the glass. So, you had the pistol, light's still good, didn't detach. This is the all-new Streamlight TLR1 HLX. Barrel chamber is clear, nothing in the muzzle or nothing like that. Clear pistol, let's shoot it again. Well, again, I'm gonna shoot the third bullseye down now, same distance. 0 maintained. No issues there, so good. All right, so now with the pistol, obviously it's a Glock. It's been 100% reliable up to this point. So I'm gonna shoot a little drill now over here on the VTAC target. At the VTAC, probably just do a bill drill out of the gate. I'm gonna give myself slide bite again, but that's all right. All right, dropped one, overall not too bad. Try it again. .277, it's a little bit on the slow side. It's all right, good, all A-zone hits. One more time. So we're empty, that was 7 that time, no issue. No issue with the dot, again, no breakage or anything like that. It hasn't changed brightness on me, it's not flickering. You know, of course I dropped one on the target, that's me. But on our zeros targets here, you're not changing any, you know, bit of zero whatsoever, even when I yeeted the sucker. So let's load up a couple more mags for you guys. We'll keep shooting this thing. We're now gonna submerge it in the creek, and I'll shoot it again after that. Obviously, the Aimpoint Acro P2, you know, pretty proven at this point. The COA is very new. It's Aimpoint, generally speaking, their name is synonymous with reliability and good red dots. So now what I'm gonna do is actually take this dot, submerge it in the water. Water temps today should be below freezing, I would say, or relatively close. It's about 28 degrees in Ohio. So we'll stick this pistol into the water, check the dot. It's that Glock fish in there. We had a Beretta fish once upon a time. So let's just say your pistol gets submerged, something crazy. Dot's still on, obviously got a crap ton of water, and you know, just for good measure. Oh. For the record, nobody paid for any of our shit for this. This is all our money to provide this review for you guys and actually show how the things are performing. So, all right, dot's still on. I just got a bunch of water in there, or not in the dot per se, but let's go actually see this thing, see how it performs, see if it any lost to zero. Well, 0 maintained, no issues there. Obviously got good and wet. No issue with the Glock, of course. I can't feel my fingers. I'll put my gloves on here. Can't feel my fingers. Let me clean off my glass here a little bit. Well, that's no bueno. I'll show you guys. So my dot, as you can see, that's water inside the optic. So there's water inside the optic. I kind of thought maybe that wasn't at first, just a bunch of water on the end, but it's definitely inside there. It's certain, because at first that's what I noticed. I'm noticing, I'm like, hey, I can't hit the target. What's going on here? It's because it's got water in there. It's ultimately altering where the emitter goes. So, well, ain't no way to sugarcoat that. I mean, I don't think I was that hard on it for water-wise. I know I tossed it in there, and I was like, oh, it'll be all right. And anybody got water in there the first time? It says it's submersible. Maybe it's not submersible, but it's kind of disappointing because I paid $1,000 for this out of my own pocket, and well, the dot is got water in it. So, well, guys, that's it. I'm gonna stop her there. You guys, there's no reason for me to be like, oh, this is like the greatest red dot ever. That's something to take in consideration with an enclosed emitter red dot and pistols in general. When you don't have an enclosed emitter, yeah, you can get junk on the emitter per se, or junk on the front of the glass and not be able to see it, but you can clean it off. If you're closed emitter red dot, like this COA has inside of it, a lot of water, it's not cracked, I'm not seeing any of that stuff, you know, O-ring, all that stuff's good, it's tight. I'm not seeing any incursions or anything like that to the overall design. I don't really see why there should be water in there. It's not damaged. You know, yeah, I banged it on some steel there. It's, I don't know, trying to give you guys a fair shake and a fair test. I paid for all this with my own money. Take it for what you want. All I can say is I thought this would be a really great setup for a police officer. Stick with your RMR.